morning. Yesterday you should have chosen one of the portraits that was included and that you picked up in your supply kit, or you're using one out of the PowerPoint that I showed you, and you either like I showed you how to trace it on the Chromebook screen. So either way, you only have to have one that you're going to need to turn in. You may find it useful because they're small to do more than one, even more than one of the same person, because sometimes when you work on more than one at a time, one or the other will turn out a little better. Yesterday we talked a little bit about that this is going to be monochromatic, and monochromatic means one color lightened with water and darkened with black. And so that becomes a kind of a new concept that we haven't worked with. But it is the easiest way to paint. Any painting actually is to stay with one color and just white and black. Obviously we don't have white. There is no such thing as white watercolor. Watercolor, to make it lighter, we add water. And to make it darker, we add black. And you can use any of the colors. You can use whatever color you would like to use. I don't recommend the yellow. The yellow is really light already, and it's hard to lighten up more. If you want a realistic feeling portrait, go ahead and use brown. Otherwise, any of the colors are completely fine. It does not matter to me which color you use. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of water in a color and in black. And here's what I want you to do as we start these. And so I'm going to just take purple, right? And I'm stirring up this purple. And actually, I'm going to put it right here. Lawless paint set. I'm going to show you why I did this in just a second. Sometimes it helps for us to do something called a value scale. So here is just my plain purple. And now what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of water to that purple, and the purple will get a little bit lighter. I'm going to add a little bit more water to the purple. Oops, I actually need more water. And you can see that purple got lighter again. I'm going to add more water to the purple, and it gets lighter again. And then even more water, and you can see like it's super, super light. So this is how you lighten up a color. Now, you can see that the purple is ridiculously dark all on its own. But if I want it to be a little darker, I can take a little bit of black and I can add it into this puddle of purple, and I change the purple and make it darker. Add a little bit more black and make it darker still. Now, this is what we call a value scale. Because the purple is so dark to start with, it's hard for us to continue to make darker colors. And so this would be the value range that we would use. Now, looking at this color and just adding water to it, you can see that it's like a grayish purple. So sometimes you have to lighten it up to see what kind of color you're making. So you can see that this one's a little bit more purple. And if I lighten this one up, it's going to look just like these. So some colors, like the purple, because they start so dark, don't darken particularly well. So that's something to keep in mind as we're making this monochromatic portrait. And you may find it useful to experiment right on the edge of your paper, on the back side of where you have your portrait transferred, to kind of see like what color do I want to do my portrait? What color effect am I going for, and what works for me? So that's something that you can experiment with. So I think I'm going to go ahead and paint an example using the purple. You'll see I have more than one of these, mostly because I love doing these. And so I'm going to paint more than one just because I think it's fun. But we're going to start with the background. And so when I'm looking at the background, I want to think about having it contrast with my portrait. And so her hair is dark, so I want the background to be light. And so that's what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to paint the background. And I'm going to, actually, I might just use this color that I have here. And I'm going to have some like paper towels handy so that I can make a little bit of texture in the background. But also what I'm going to do is just clean my paintbrush off. And before I start, I am going to get the paper wet back here. I'll show you why. So I'm just putting water right along the edge. She has this little space in her hair here that's background color. So this is just water, just clean water. I'm gonna go all the way around. And what this is going to allow me to do is do kind of a wet into wet effect. And because we all have such a little paintbrush, right? These paintbrushes are small. And the sheet feels big. So now I can put my color in here. Ooh, and I needed it to be light purple, not dark purple, or it's going to totally blend in with her hair. And my color will spread a little easier. You can see I'm going to be able to pull. So what I thought it was too dark, but now as I'm mixing it in with the water that's back here, I'm seeing that it's going to be fine. I kind of like that it's darker in one corner. So you guys can go ahead and experiment with what you want the background to kind of look or feel like. A little bit more paint. Spread that around. And then here is, you can use like one of our watercolor texture techniques if you like in the background, so that this like blotchy effect isn't there. So I forgot to grab paper towel, so I'm going to see if this works actually with just a regular towel, because it's the one I have sitting here. And you can see I can make a little bit of a pattern in the background in my paint using a paper towel. And it creates a little interest back here. That's nice. So there you go. That's first steps, is to, after you've made your transfer, go ahead and paint the background. You can experiment with a texture technique, some wet into wet. I don't want the background to get like too busy because I do want the portrait to be the main focus. But this does give it a little bit of something to go on. So background, next steps.